welcome to my page. I'm Ashley Marshall. I am an astrologer and oracle card reader. I'm here today to do a pick a pile reading for the month of July so we can see what is in store for us. So pile 1 is going to be the white stone. I don't remember any details or names about these stones and crystals. That's not my strong suit, but if you recognize them and want to drop them below, that would be awesome. So that's pile 1. It has like a little hole in it, some grooves, kind of looks lilac in the sunlight. Pile 2 is going to be this sort of like lime green stone. Sorry, I feel like I'm gonna drop it. And it has some brown specks and lines on it. Pile 3 is brown with some black lines. It's got a little bit of like a light brown or gray at the top as well. So whatever you vibe with, whatever is calling to you, speaking to you, of course you can pick more than one pile. And let's get started with pile 1. So pile 1 again is the white stone. So to start us off with each pile, I picked a tarot card, and pile 1 got the 9 of Swords. So I know that sometimes the image of the 9 of Swords can conjure up like negative connotation, and you know, I just want to say before anyone who picked this pile thinks, oh God, I'm gonna have a terrible month, that's not what I see. That's not what comes through for this card for me necessarily. And that's mostly because of the number 9, because it's the 9 of Swords. You know, the 9 is about wrapping up a situation, wrapping something up, like an ending before 10, before new beginnings, right? Or before the end, and then you head to 1, which is fresh new beginnings. So also the suit of Swords aligns with the air signs in astrology, so Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Okay, the suit of Swords is about mental activity, thoughts, communication, right? And so what really I feel like is coming through with the 9 of Swords for the month of July is that many people in this pile may be coming to the end, to a resolution or a wrapping up of a situation that required lots of communication. Maybe there was struggle in communication with somebody else, and or it could be a wrapping up or ending of a mental health issue. Like for example, you know, maybe some of you are coming out of a retreat where you were really deeply working on your mental health. Maybe you're wrapping up a relationship with the therapist in talk therapy, or maybe you are coming to the end or a revelation, having a revelation around something in therapy. It doesn't necessarily mean to me that like you are coming, like ending your relationship with your therapist, but it could be that you are about to embrace a new level, right? Because also it's like, what's the point of therapy if we're not, you know, coming to some sort of conclusion about things and maybe like moving on to the next? And, you know, there are many times with people when they have been going to a therapist for years and the therapist will say like, you know, I think we're done here. And it doesn't mean that you're done working on your mental health, but you might be just done with your work with them. Like maybe they've reached the end of what they can offer you. So that's kind of what I feel like is coming through. Like, and with the image here, you know, I feel like a lot of you in this pile have maybe been working through things out like with your inner demons. Okay, this card can often indicate like guilt, and also so you maybe, you know, that you are finally coming to a resolution over a situation where you have felt extreme guilt. Okay, And it also can mean that you are about to come out of isolation. You have been spending a lot of time working on yourself, often like mental health issues, things that we often do alone or that we do in the privacy of a, therapist's office in therapy. And you are ready to come out of this space and maybe be a little bit more social. Again, leaving something that you've felt a lot of guilt about in the past, and you're beginning to take positive away from this situation. Like maybe for months or for years or for a lifetime, this has been something that has been weighing heavy on you and brought you down. And with the 9, I really feel like, again, it's when we're, ending something. So it could be that you're finally seeing this situation in a new light. And maybe someone has been helping you see that, right? See it in a new light. So, yeah, really, working through those inner demons and kind of moving on to a next phase where you're not blaming anymore, where you're able to let go. Maybe you are moving into a space of self-forgiveness or forgiving somebody else. It could be someone who's an air sign or has lots of air elements in their chart. So again, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, or maybe you're a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. Okay. All right. So let's see the other aspect of life that may get a lot of play this month. I'll kind of move these cards in a different direction. Okay, hi James. Okay, so pile 1, you also got Uranus. So again, kind of in tandem with this card, I feel like Uranus can really signify change. Okay, and sometimes it can be abrupt change. I kind of feel like this is more change that has been coming over time, again, because of this work that you have been doing. So I really think that it's a change in thought process, a change in again, what you used to blame yourself for, or maybe blame others for. There's been a shift, right? And so in July, you might really feel like you're leaving something behind, again, that you were holding on to for a long time. Okay? Kind of want to feel into this a little bit more. Yeah, and it also may be a change in how you relate, a change in how you communicate, a change in how you, in your beliefs. And it might be really different or strange to other people, but it feels like you're in this space where you really don't care anymore, right? So that's what I'm getting from that. I kind of want to look into the next card because you got a house card. Okay, so you got the 8th house, and it says on the bottom, this transformational area of your life is about shared resources and intense emotions. So this area of your life that sees change could be 8th house things. So again, change in how you communicate with others, communicate about resources, communicate about possibly sex, relationships, and again, the difference that you have in it feels like there's also for some of you a difference in how you share resources with people, a difference in how you merge, right? 8th house is often about the merging of resources. And yeah, with these rings there, you might have really different relationship goals than other people. You might think about relationships differently, like maybe you don't believe in marriage or, you know, something like that. And again, there might be this like, you know, societal, like, you know, looking at you kind of strange, but this July might really see you moving into this point of your life where like you don't care and you're going to actually start to feel good about this and kind of like hone it in and own what it is that makes you different than other people in this area of your life. Okay, and let's see what the ancestral message is. Okay, boundaries warrior, you got from one of my ancestral decks. So, you know, kind of going back to this, like possibly finding forgiveness or having a change in the way you communicate, that may very well come out in boundaries. And, you know, boundaries around 8th house things. So boundaries around how you share your resources with other people. You know, the 7th house is often about like contracts, but I'm kind of feeling like a prenuptial agreement coming up. So like, in a sense, that's kind of how we can hold a boundary, right? A financial boundary with people that we are sharing our resources. So for some of you, it may be something like that. Like you are going to feel like encouraged, or like that it's necessary to have some sort of like contract be drawn up. And it could be, it doesn't have to be prenuptial agreement. It could be like work contract with a partner too, right? Because 8th house is really any and all sharing. It also rules inheritances. So like having a boundary in your inheritance. I just watched this movie a couple nights ago where mom passed away and leaves her cabin, her home, to her son. But it had like all of these kind of restrictions in place. Like he had to do certain things in order to inherit it, which I guess is, you know, maybe not totally fair. It is totally fair because it was her home. So yeah, like having some sort of stance and boundaries on your sharing of resources with other people in some way could be like something that comes up for you in July, or someone else is putting boundaries in place for you, right? And taking a strong stance, and kind of, you know, bringing that warrior energy in. I'm also getting Aries vibes. So it could be you like embracing that like masculine Mars energy that's helping you hold boundaries, right? And be a warrior where you used to might be a little bit like softer. Or you could be the person who could be holding these boundaries with you is in Aries or has Aries placements, okay? And so the next ancestral message that you got is, okay, protection guardian, drop your shields. Okay, so this is kind of interesting, like to have come up with this. I'm also seeing like for the month of July, you may be receiving lots of messaging through feathers. So there may be, you may be seeing lots of feathers when you walk, or like feathers in weird places, or maybe you'll be collecting feathers. Really love this beautiful like peacock energy coming through too. You also may be seeing like lots of birds as like validation of all of this, like validation that it's okay to hold firm boundaries, and maybe like the changes around your resources or your dependency on other people's resources, or the merging of resources, like needs these boundaries, right? It needs to happen, and the feathers, the birds might be coming in as validation of that. There's something with the hand too, with that gem in there that wants to come through, but I don't really know what that is. I feel like it's kind of comes back to this warrior energy. Like, even though it says protection guardian, drop your shields, it's interesting because we were just talking about like holding up a shield, and I feel like this is coming in as like, yes, hold boundaries, but if this is something that's new to you, I know that I certainly do this. Sometimes we uphold boundaries in a way, such a way that pushes other people away. Or we feel like holding boundaries means that we have to be mean or aggressive. And I feel like this is really coming in to say that it's okay to hold kind, soft, gentle boundaries. Or if you received a lot of messaging, which we often do, especially in codependent relationships, that boundaries are bad, I believe that the protection guardian is coming in to offer that boundaries can be soft, boundaries are healthy, boundaries can be good. I feel like our generation is, in this generation, we are learning that, where in the past it was like from our ancestors, the message was that like boundaries mean that you don't love somebody, but that's not it at all. Boundaries are very loving, because when we're constantly breaking each other's boundaries and not upholding boundaries, like that leads to lots of ickiness and resentment, right? So I feel like it's just so interesting because she's holding up a shield and protecting herself, but it says drop your shield. So knowing when to balance upholding boundaries and when to soften them. Like, are you holding up boundaries in such a way that's keeping you from love and loving relationships? Or are you upholding them for the benefit of everyone, right? So if you're somebody who's like constantly holding boundaries, constantly creating boundaries, and then you're like, geez, I just don't feel like I have a lot of love in my life, or a lot of supportive relationships, learning when to soften them, learning when to drop that shield. Like, I'm feeling lots of like protective energy. Like, maybe you've had to go through life like really protective, and the advice coming through from your ancestors is to balance that and know when it's important, know when to lovingly uphold them and when to drop them. Not completely, but you know what I mean? When to drop your guard, when to be vulnerable with others, and that it's okay to be vulnerable with others, okay? Yeah, okay. And then the last card that you received is, I forget which oracle deck. This is from Goddess Guidance Oracle deck. You got Iseult, undying love. The love you have shared is eternal regardless of the situation. So I really see this coming through as another reminder to always try to do things from a place of love instead of a place of anger, which can be difficult, right? But as you're holding these boundaries, again, like, I think, the boundaries that are healthiest and safest for us often come from a place of love. Like, okay, so even if like you have a toxic relationship with somebody, or somebody has been abusive to you in the past in some way, creating the boundary from love for yourself, right? As opposed to really stewing in this like anger that you have towards them. Not that I'm saying that that's not valid, especially if they have harmed or abused you in some way. And just being able to, I'm hearing like both things can be true. It's possible that you can love somebody and still hold a boundary with them. You can love somebody and still need to spend less time with them or communicate less with them. I just had to take a breath. Or, you can love somebody and still, make changes to your relationship with them. Does that make sense? yeah, you know, you can, yeah, I was just gonna say more of the same thing. Okay, so that really feels like it's it for pile 1. If this resonated with you, like, comment, subscribe, let me know in the comments. I love to hear from you all. And we're gonna move on to pile 2. Okay, so pile 2 again is like the lime green stone. Feeling lots of breathlessness. Maybe it's just because I haven't done one of these in a while and I'm talking a lot. Okay, so for pile 2 for the month of July, you got the Ace of Swords. Okay, so Ace, number 1, often represents like new beginnings. And because it's the suit of swords, again, so could be Gemini, Libra, Aquarius in your big 3, or lots of Gemini, Libra, Aquarius elements in your chart. What I see for you, pile 2, for the month of July is fresh new ideas and thoughts coming in, okay? Maybe a new way of communicating your ideas and thoughts. And it could be new thoughts and ideas that lead to a new way of life or a business venture for you. See if I'm getting any. Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know why this came up, because, you know, it's not like something that comes up. You know, I've pulled this card several times in readings and for myself, but something about like gardening came through, and then when I focused in on this image, you know, I was really drawn to the mountains. I was kind of looking at the wreath and the crown up here, and that was like, no, look to the bottom of the card. So it could be like new ideas in the garden, new ideas of what you're gonna grow, you know, this season or next season, new ideas for where you want to live, what land you want to live on in the future. So that felt like it was coming through and needed to be said too. So we don't want to ignore those things. All right. Oh, okay. So you also got Hygeia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Hygeia is an asteroid that is related to health and wellness. So yeah, I'm hearing like new ideas of the herbs and plants and vegetables and things you want to grow in your garden that will lead to a real change in your health and wellness. Hygeia also represents mental health. I kind of want to look in the book a little bit for this one because I'm being called to see something that I may have left behind. Yeah, wow. So Hygeia symbols are healing herbs, brooms, snakes, lemons, and incense. So those might be symbols for you, pile 2, for the month of July. You may also feel encouraged to like bring in a new self-care that has to do with your hygiene. You may also, like, I know it's in spring, there's spring cleaning, but in July you may feel like really encouraged or the need to deep clean your home, to grow lemons, to use more lemons as a detoxification for yourself. Lemons can be incredibly detoxifying for the system. Yeah, so more focus on that in the month of July, more focus on your health. You may feel encouraged and inclined to book more self-care appointments, holistic appointments, you know, acupuncture, you know, using the sauna more for detox, getting a sauna or getting a membership to a sauna, getting a membership to a gym, because it could also be your physical health. Hygeia also represents mental health, so possibly starting a relationship with a talk therapist. This is interesting because the last pile 1, got 9 of Swords. So if you picked both pile 1 and pile 2, that would just be interesting. So it could be, yeah, starting a new relationship with someone who can help with your mental health. And I say talk therapist because swords is, suit of air and has a lot to do with communication. So yeah, it could be any or all of those things. Interesting that one of the symbols is broom for Hygia, but I mean, I get that because of cleaning. But yeah, bringing in more healing herbs into your diet. You don't necessarily have to be growing any of this, or if you're growing it. Yeah, I kind of want to look again and see if there's anything else. Hygia is the daughter of Asclepius. I don't know how to pronounce that. The god of medicine, and she took after him. So yeah, you might be making more herbal remedies for yourself. I'm also like hearing and feeling like lemon balm, and I'm seeing lots of like lemon balm everywhere. So maybe you're gonna plant it, maybe you find some growing wild and making tinctures and potions and incorporating that into your diet more. Lemon balm is really good for menstrual health. It's really good for anxiety. And again, if you're not the type of person that likes growing it, then, you know, ordering it from Vimergy or something, some place that you love online. But you might see yourself like feeling more, what's the word I want to look for? I keep saying like encouraged, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. But you might just feel like more like you need to focus on your health, your physical health more, your mental health, and like bringing more herbs and potions and stuff like that into your life in the month of July. Okay, so let's see what your ancestral message is. Or wait, we're not going to get into that yet. I forget what we did last time. No, yeah, let's do this next. Okay, so you also got the first health, what people see and the impression you give. It's interesting because the 6th house is known as the house of health. And that's true. The 6th house is actually your good health, like the positive things that happen in your health. But the 1st house can represent your ailments, your health ailments, okay, which isn't always like discussed or talked about. But so you may be working, maybe you're bringing these herbs in because you learn about a new like health issue, or maybe you go to the doctor and they're like, hey, you're like you need more of this in your diet. Like maybe you go to a Chinese medicine doctor and they tell you like you're lacking protein, or like you run cold, your system runs cold, so maybe you need some more heat in your diet, or you know, you run hot, so you need more cooling. Okay, so it could be like something like that. I don't feel like it's anything that's like severe or serious with health. I think it's something more just like, hey, you're lacking a little bit of this, and you know, you're receiving more messaging or direct messaging from a doctor or a holistic practitioner around that. There also might be like a new, again, like this image of her looking in the mirror, like a new way that you speak to yourself, a new way that you talk to yourself, a new way that you see yourself, a new way that you communicate to yourself. Again, Hygia represents mental health. Ace of Swords is new thoughts, new ideas, new possible ways of communication. You might start doing mirror affirmations, or if it's something that you did in the past, you might start doing them again. People might start to see you in a different way. The way that you present yourself might be different. Also, your appearance. There could be possible changes to your appearance. Usually the 1st house is, yeah, how we look. So our rising sign is always in our first house, and so often we look like our rising sign. And of course, degrees and aspects to your AC and stuff like that can change things. So I don't like to generalize too much, and you can always reach out to me for a personal reading if you want to know like more about that. But yeah, so it could just be like a new way that you see yourself, speak to yourself, think about yourself. But it also could be like an actual change to your physical appearance. What's really interesting, I'm really into ancestral astrology. That's probably like my favorite part of astrology or aspect. And our ancestors can take up all the different houses. I know that we don't always have great relationships with our ancestors, so you could always leave this aside. We don't have great relationships to our family members, so feel free to ignore this. However, the first house is ruled by the maternal grandfather and the paternal grandmother. So it's often said that we will take on similar looks and characteristics to the maternal grandfather, right? So the mom's mom, or the or your dad's mom. Okay, and it can also be like we take on similarities around like how they look at life, how they think about themselves. Okay, and you know, I just want to say it doesn't have to be that deep. My dad's mother had some severe mental health issues that I don't feel that I have, but I definitely, in a younger age, I was diagnosed with depression in high school, and so I definitely feel like I was on that path, but I have moved away from it. So it's not anything like you're never doomed. You're never doomed. And this also applies to, you know, I don't want you to feel left out if you were adopted or you feel like your neighbor who took care of you was more like your mother. When I do readings, and if you tell me that you did not have a great relationship with your parents or someone else raised you, then we will focus more on like the people who are actually in your chart or in your life, and that will likely show in your chart too in various different ways. So yeah, there's that. Now we can get into the ancestral messaging. Okay, so you got love, lover. So July may see you focusing on your romantic relationships, on your love relationships, the love that you share with others. And also, like, I immediately got, you know, from the image, which I focus on different things every time this card comes up. It's come up, you know, several times in readings for other people and for myself, and it's not always the same. You might be doing a lot of stargazing. You might be, like, in an area in this month, in the month of July, where you can see the stars better, and or where you see yourself and everyone else in this world, as painful and hard as it can be sometimes, as a reflection of herself. Like, she's hugging someone else, but essentially she's hugging herself. You know, there's like really a lot of energy with this card, like we are all one. And I'm getting strong Libra vibes from this card. So this love relationship or friendship, this deep love that might come to the forefront of your life and focus this month. It could be a Libra. I know that we said with the Suit of Swords, you know, that's Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. But I'm really feeling Libra vibes with this. So again, could be Libra placements for them or you. And there's just, yeah, this real energy of you're really starting to begin to see that we are all one and that everyone is really just a reflection of us, which it's hard for me to even like communicate with everything going on because we're so divided these days. But I feel like the message coming through, and this is for everyone, but especially for those of you who chose Pile 2, is that in truth, God wants you to know God or whoever you see as, you know, greater being in your life, wants you to know that we're truly all one. And oftentimes these things are being brought to our attention in order for us to learn that everyone has a different way, everybody has a different thought system and belief system, and to not let, you know, what's happening in the world divide us. And I think more and more these days we're trying to stick with our groups and stick with people who believe the same things. And look, I vibe with that and get that too. Like, I want to be surrounded with people who have the same morals and values I have. However, you know, I also want my life to be full of people who can teach me things about and teach me about different perspectives that I never really thought or embraced, right? Because in the end, it's maybe not necessarily like one basic truth, right? Everybody is living in their own truths and their own thought and belief system. And you may feel really called this month to embrace that, to embrace others' differences and mentalities and thought process. And it doesn't mean you have to totally like, oh, you know, give up your own morals and beliefs. It's not that at all. It's about being able to love yourself and know who you are and know what you believe, whilst also embracing the fact that other people don't. And that can be painful. And I'm not saying like you don't have to embrace the fact that other people don't want you to have your freedoms or don't want you to have your personal, rights. But being able to accept it in a sense that it doesn't, what's the word I'm looking for? Consume you, right? Yeah. Okay. So the second message from your ancestors is coming through in the Knight card. Be brave and honest. I get this one often. So this new thought process, this new communication that you may be like moving into, these new thoughts and ideas that are coming to you, like share them is often what I get with this card, and I'm getting it now too. Share them, and a lot of times it takes a lot of bravery to be honest. So like what I'm hearing and seeing is like when you're having like actual physical conversations with people, like going back to that, not everybody believes what you believe and communicates what you communicate. I remember reading in Louis Hay's book, which can be controversial, but again, like I can respect what she has written whilst also not fully believing in it, right? Because it can be a little what's the word? The You Can Heal Yourself book, sometimes it can be like difficult to look at and read because it's like, she didn't necessarily believe you cause your illness, but she has like a list in that book of all the things that could cause illness outside of like the physical, like what mental things or what things can be going on in our lives. And sometimes people can take that as like, wait, I didn't bring this on myself. So having to have some balance with that. Like I respect that book and have definitely used it and look back at it, but I come at it from a perspective is like, okay, there's some truth in it, but it's not fully true for me. Anyway, I believe it's in that book where she says, if you're ever in a conversation and you're feeling like dominated and someone's just like going on and on about their perspective and their belief and their side of things, you can either, say out loud or in your head to yourself, that may be true for you, but it's not true for me. Okay? So like, being able to come from a space where, you know, you hold space for other people's beliefs and they can have their truths, but it doesn't have to be true for you. And it's likely a lot of times or many times not going to be. Again, it doesn't mean we have to totally write them off and feel so divided and see them like as an enemy or an attack on us, even though, you know, a lot of things lately can feel like a personal attack on our rights and our beliefs. But like the Knight is like calm and strong and has this ability to be brave in their honesty, right? So I do see the people in this pile, possibly in the month of July, having more of a voice and feeling more comfortable and strong and confident in that truth. And again, with this energy of like, well, that may be true for you, but it's not true for me, and here's my truth. Okay? Your ancestors want you to be brave and want you to be honest. Maybe not like want you to be brave, but require, you know, honesty requires bravery a lot of time. Like, it's not easy. It's really easy to just be quiet or to not share yourself. If you've ever had trouble with that in your past, like going to the altar that you have for your ancestors, if you have one, or just in spending some quiet time communicating with them and asking for their support in your honesty. Okay, and being more honest in your life, where maybe before you've been, again, quiet and not so outspoken about things. You know, you're being asked if it feels good and resonates with you to do that. Something like with the flowers. Okay, now I see. There's a rose here, and I was wondering, so the rose on the right is not yet bloomed, and then the rose on the left, at least as it is in this image, it might be changed on the camera, there's like you in the past about your communications and your ideas and your thoughts and how and what you know, used and did to express yourself. So in the month of July, it's like you're blooming. You are standing more in your truth. And he also has a tear streaming down his face. And I think to me that signifies like vulnerability and also like the beauty there is in that we are all allowed to have different thoughts and belief systems. And there's beauty in, you know, your bravery that you are accessing and showing in order to share your truth. Okay? And it's like brings a tear to your ancestors' eye, all of the growth that they see for you this month and that you've already had and made. Okay? And so your last card, the Goddess Guidance Oracle card, you got Bast, independent. Your independence is a foundation of your strength and success. So, there's a lot of like, again, growing into your own and whilst holding space for other people to have their own truths, you're really coming into this place of independence, independent thought, independent belief system, independent ideas. Okay, maybe you're moving away from like what everybody else thinks and does. Maybe in the past you were really involved with that and attached to other people's ideas, and now you're like, hey, you're like, what do I think on my own? What about myself? What about when I remove myself from this group, this political group, or this community that I've always believed, you know, in and been a part of? Like, what are my thoughts on my own? What about me? And really starting to believe that that's okay. I think that flowers, I don't know if these are petals, I think they are, but I think so. Petals, roses, flowers might be a symbol for you. You might see a lot of those in the month of July. Cats might be a symbol for you. You might see the symbolism of cats a lot, and it doesn't have to be an actual cat. It could be It could be like cat statues, and again, those creeping up in like places that you wouldn't expect. Okay? So that was pile 2. If it resonated with you, like, comment, subscribe. I love to hear from you. And now we're going to move into pile 3. Like feeling again breathless, but I think it's because I'm talking a lot. I'm okay, James. He's checking on me. Anytime I sigh a lot, he's always worried about me. Okay. Okay. He needs a scratch. So pile 3, brown stone. Taking a lot of breaths here. Okay, so pile 3. High Priestess. I want to look in the book because I can't remember the astrological association with the High Priestess. Oh, oh, la, 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 la. Huh, the moon. I should have known. She's got the moon as a symbol in her frock, in her, I don't know why I said that, in her shirt, in her turtleneck, combined with her sleeves, which I just love. Like, this is such a vibe. I like want to find that somewhere and wear it. So, with the High Priestess brings a lot of feminine energy, a lot of like confidence. Doesn't she just look like a bad bitch? Like such a confident person, woman. There's a lot of like wisdom coming with the High Priestess too. So for people who pick this pile, like, you might be moving into a time and place of your life where you have gained a lot of wisdom, a lot of confidence. The High Priestess also represents intuition. So you might be really utilizing your intuition a lot in July, like really honing into it, really leaning into it as problems come up or things come up or decisions come up. Instead of just making a decision from your intellect, you may be doing a lot of like, well, let me feel into this. Let me feel into my body, right? And the moon is really like nourishment based. You may also, people in this pile may have lots of Cancer placements in their chart, Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. I picked this pile and I'm Cancer, I have a stellium in Cancer and I am Sun Cancer. So, I love when that lines up. So would love to hear in the comments if you are, or you have lots of Cancer in your chart. Yeah, there's just like such wisdom, such confidence. Like, also I'm feeling like taking a pause before making decisions. Maybe the people in this pile usually are kind of like rash, and like as you've gotten to this point and place in your life, it feels like you're really taking your time. Low battery. Let me get my charger. I'll be back. Joy to the world. I don't know why I started singing this song. Da, 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 da. Sorry, pile 3. Okay. Okay. Are we good? Yeah, I think so. Okay, back to pile 3. High Priestess. There may be like new studies too. I just feel like this book really wants to speak. Maybe you're writing a book. Maybe you're writing more. This is also, to me, like an indication of like, again, confidence in your wisdom, confidence in what you know, and what you know to be true, and like how to move forward in the world and what you have to say to the world, what you want to communicate to the world. It also feels like really quiet, like you know how to quiet yourself now again and like tap into your body, tap into your intuition, tap into your inner knowing. Okay? So I feel like a lot of that coming through too. I just love this outfit. I don't know why I can't get over it or off of it. Yeah, it's really like, you know, the High Priestess is a lot of similar kind to what I feel like Pile 2 was going through. Like, you're not really looking to anybody else for answers anymore. You got your own book of knowledge. Like, you have your own inner knowing. It doesn't mean you have to totally be like, It's interesting because I was thinking today, like, I'm making some life changes and choices, and I have some people in my life who's questioned it and offered their own opinion, and as someone who no longer has living parents anymore, I'm kind of at a point where people tell me their opinion or offer stuff, and I'm just like, fuck you. Like, you're not my mom or dad. They're not around anymore. And there's this, of course I would choose anything and would love for it to be the other way. And I don't enjoy that they're not around, but there comes this, it's been described in lots of like grief books and stuff that I've read around like losing your parents, and this, not that I think anyone in this pile has, but maybe you have as well, or maybe you no longer rely on them to tell you what to do. Like maybe there's going to be this break around, or this separation around, like the people who once influenced you no longer are. And I often describe it as like, again, it's not a good feeling, but everyone's gonna go through it at some point in their lives. It's like a release. It's like no one can tell me what to do anymore. So when other people who are not my parents try to offer it's fine to offer your opinion. If it's unsolicited, I'm like, me. But yeah, I'm just kind of like, fuck you. Like the people who brought me into this world, who bossed me around and told me what to do, are no longer here, so why do you think you can? Like, I just have such again, it's not a freedom that you desire, but it's part of all of our journeys, because we will all lose the people we were born to at some point. And so I kind of do feel like the High Priestess like represents that energy of like, I don't give a fuck energy, right? And not in like a mean way, but it's just like, I know what's right for me. I can tap into my intuition. And I feel like the people in this pile, again with the breath, may be getting lots of intuitive hits. You might start to be able to really like feel things instantly, right? From your body. Like this is an instant no. Maybe lots of people in this pile are in human design. They're like, what's it called when you're ruled by your gut? So like you feel things immediately in your gut, like you know immediately if it's a yes or no, and you're not like bouncing back and forth anymore. Like you're really learning to take those intuitive hits as actual real knowledge and knowing for yourself. You're not doubting that stuff anymore, right? And sometimes that can be uncomfortable. Sometimes it can be uncomfortable to be the High Priestess, because other people are like, well, they think they know what's best for you. They think you know what you should be doing. And just, there's really this calm knowing in this, that it's just like, I know what's right for me. So I'm going to go this way. Like, thank you for your unsolicited opinion. I mean, you can tell when it's caring or not caring. So if someone's really coming to you and they're from a caring angle, it can be like, thank you, I love you, I appreciate you, but I'm going this way. I'm going. This is what I'm doing. So that feels like, the focus and the theme for you this month. Might be like lots of books in your energy field this month, lots of reading or writing, like I said. Okay, so 11th house. So 11th house rules like social groups, organization. It can also rule social media. Yeah, I'm getting that intuitive hit to look into the book, but yeah. I'm hearing the message to look into the book because there's something that I don't remember that wants to be said. And look, the thing about these like cards in this deck is like the things that I know as an astrologer to be 11th house things are, they want me to mention it like I said, but they also want me to focus on like the way that the cards are translated in this book. Not always, like I don't always look to the book with certain cards, but if I hear that I need to, mostly for the keywords and symbolism. So the keywords here are rebellion, social, friendship, invention, and potential. Yeah, so kind of going back like to the High Priestess, like maybe you're really moving, not moving away, but you're starting to see yourself as an individual amongst your community and amongst your group, an individual with individual thought and knowing within those larger groups that you're a part of. Maybe like the space that you hold on social media is that you're a little bit rebellious, like in the things that you talk about or share about, and that might be highlighted this month, in the month of July. You might start to share things that are a little like out of the norm and different. You might also invent or create something like totally different and share that with your group, with your community, through social media. So you might be inventing some sort of program or creating some sort of offering that's really unique and your own. You might be sharing unique, personal, different writing that stands out from what everybody else is doing. Okay. Yeah, and there's something like really like yeah, just like different and personal and unique, and it might not be like the social norm or maybe like socially accepted. It might make people, I'm seeing and hearing like kind of like a gasp, like people are kind of surprised at what you're offering and sharing like initially, but then like the right people are going to be like, I vibe with this, like this is my jam. And I see like lots of people being drawn to what you are inventing and creating and offering that's new and different and ingenious, right? Inventive, right? It just feels like something that people haven't really seen before, or something different within the field that you work in is going to be, yeah, just different. Of course, everything's different because it's through your own personal perspective, but I really feel like a lot of like newness around this. Something that you have created. Maybe you've been working on it, and July is the month where you reveal it, where you unveil it, where you share it with the greater community, right? And that maybe that might be with your social media following, because again, we're talking about 11th house. They're telling me to go back to the book. Yeah, so it could be like a refocus on your 11th house rules, like our big dreams and aspirations. So you may be really feel pulled and guided back toward those like big dreams and aspirations that you have set for yourself. And some of those might be around writing. I'm just going back to that because the book feels really present in this reading right now. Okay, let's get into the next astrology card. You got a planet, pile 3, and the planet is Jupiter. Your confidence, courage, self-belief, and luck. And there's soaring. Yeah, so again, going back to like to the High Priestess card, there's lots of confidence energy. So you might see like a real upkick to like you putting yourself out there, feeling confidence. There might be a lot of like blessings and luck that come to you this month. That gives you the confidence to soar and to follow those greater aspirations that feels like you've set aside to, you know, do more human things. And now it's like you're getting that energy, you're getting that, it just feels like a soda water or bubbly water in my chest and in my body. Like you're getting excited again about your dreams, your goals, and your aspirations that maybe you've been feeling a little bit more not as attentive to these past couple months, and totally get that and understand that. Like a lot of times we set aside our goals and aspirations again to like be more human and do the more human things. But I think July is really gonna see this pile like stepping back into owning those things, owning your big goals and dreams and aspirations. And again, your big goals and dreams and aspirations could be to get married and have kids. It could be to garden. It could be to write a book. It could be to be a professional roller skater, you know, like whatever. It doesn't have to be one thing, okay? But there's a lot of like luck and blessings coming to you this way. I'm feeling like desert vibes too. Like some of you may be traveling to the desert, going to the desert, moving to the desert, hiking in the desert as a vacation. Like there's something to these rock formations here too. And maybe that's like your big goal too, is to like move to the desert. I don't know. So there's that. Yeah, and there's like, you know, you're getting this support from, it feels like the universe, like you're getting this support, just this natural energy and support that's going to come to you to hold you up to follow those dreams. You may also be seeing eagles. Eagle symbolism, again, it doesn't always have to be like, if you're like, there are no eagles where I am, but you know, you may be seeing pictures of them. Someone's, you know, wearing a t-shirt walking by with an eagle on it, you know, like an eagle keychain that stands out to you at a gift shop that you never saw before. So animal symbols and symbolism, and all of the symbolism that I talk about in my readings don't have to be actual or direct. They can be. It can be both. Okay, let's get into the ancestral messaging for you, pile 3. Oh, I'm just cracking up. Air, breath, like no wonder I've been struggling with my breath this entire reading, okay? I also picked this pile. So there's this need to breathe more, to focus on your breath more, to go slower. You know, the High Priestess moves more slowly, takes time, checking in with their intuition. And I feel like this is reiterated here, like sitting with yourself before making decisions, bringing in more breath, maybe getting back into breath work, taking a breath work course, starting breath work. And I really love this image because the way that we've been taught to breathe, I know it's like, wait, were we taught to breathe? Not really. But the way that we should be breathing, or that some, you know, breathwork practitioners recommend we breathe, is to really like breathe deep into the body, into the, you know, to the stomach. You know, if you've ever done breath work, it's like, you know, there's a double inhale where you're doing like the shallow inhale, but you're also doing the deeper inhale, and then the exhale, right? And I also love this image because in one of my favorite breath works, like the 5-10 breathing practice, I don't know if it's necessarily called that. You can also do like 4-8, 6-12. I think 5-10 is best. It's best for me, whatever you want. you inhale for a count of 5 and you exhale for a count of 10. So elongating the exhale, which I think is really like standing out and symbolic